Sumed, we're here to talk about AAA Master Services. You've known Michael for some time, and I understand you've done work with him in the past. Describe a little bit to me the satisfaction you've had from his work or problems you've had with his work.
When I first bought this house, this is an old house. That's when I first, I happened to stumble upon Michael. I think I found him on Angie's List, or I don't even remember where. But when I first came in, there were so many problems with this house. And every job that he's done, I've never had to go back and touch it again. And the case that I particularly remember is I hired a local person to come and do some sprinkler work. And it was, on the low end, so I thought that was good enough. Except, then I ran into the aftermath of that work, that I had guests in my house and the sprinkler system burst, and I had guests in, but they couldn't take a shower because I had to turn off the water in that. My yard is flooded, and then Michael came in at night and dig, and finally, that's when he fixed my sprinkler system, and it's been like 5 years since then, and I've not had to worry about it. So the quality of his work is really very good.
Right. Well, I think he views himself as a craftsman working on this stuff, and I think often we find here in the Albuquerque area that the work we're getting is not always up to the standard you'd like to see.
That's right. Effectively what I've discovered is, yes, he's expensive. I tell him that Michael, you're very expensive. But I also find that sometimes finding somebody cheaper and then have to deal with the aftermath, paying that little bit extra up front may actually be worth it if I don't have to worry about it and all the the consequences of something breaking down, and I may be on a trip and your wife's calling me saying this is not working, that's not working. All of those hassles are not there. That's the reward, the dividend of that extra investment. That's how I look at it. So I've continued using him throughout. This house, the RO system, this house did not have a water softener system. He's pretty creative. He actually figured out how the lines went, and he told me that you cannot get a water softener system for both the hot and the cold, but I can put one for the hot line, and I figured that will be good enough for me because the hot is where you get more of the deposits. So he figured that out, and to put one in, custom design one in to use my existing plumbing to install the water softener system, which effectively saves my water heater and my laundry machine, so on and on. It's pretty creative on that front.
And being an engineer yourself, you have a little eye for detail on things like this.
Oh, very much so.
And so, again, quality is important to you. The fact that you don't have to call somebody back to fix a thing that they fixed 3 or 6 months ago.
Right.
I think one of the things in talking to Michael is when he's going up and doing repairs, he sees what can best be described as shoddy workmanship.
That's
and
right.
we see this a lot.
That's right.
And people are paying a certain amount to begin with. Nobody comes to your house for free.
Right.
We're always making an investment. The question is making sure we don't have to repeat that expenditure again and again.
I completely agree with you.
And you've mentioned that there have been times you had to call him middle of the night to come over.
Yeah, he's been pretty responsive. And my thing is I hope to minimize those, because anytime you call somebody in the middle of the night, there's all those additional expenses. So there's one way to get around that is to make sure the work done is good up front so that you don't have to do that. And that's what I have just stuck with him.
Sounds like you guys have gone through sort of a punch list of repairs.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking air conditioning here, we're talking plumbing, we're talking about sprinklers in the yard.
Right. He's pretty knowledgeable. Like I had this whole place where we are sitting is a remodel bit. So once there's a general contractor that came in with his crew and he did some work. Now previously I had he had done my water heater when I first moved into the house. After the general contractor left, I found that my water heater kept going out like every 2-3 days in the middle of the night. And I thought that maybe it's, the unit was warranted. I called the company, they said, oh, it might be the thermostat, you go watch this video, go clean this, go clean that. I did all of that, it didn't fix it. So finally they said, okay, fine, we'll send you a part, but you need a licensed plumber to actually confirm that that is the problem. So I called Michael again. For a while I couldn't get hold of him. I think he went back to his home country. He came back luckily, and I was able to get hold of him. He came back in, and first thing he looked at it and said, "Who did this work?" And it turns out that my contractor's crew, the work they did, the discharge from the water softener line, they put that into the pan that is supposed to hold any kind of leakage or condensation from my water heater. And because it was dumping it every time, and that would get sucked into the water heater, my water heater would go out, the pilot lamp would go out, and it corroded the whole unit. So that's what I mean is, like, there are people here that do the work, and it was creating so much trouble for me. Like, I'm thinking, so finally he said, like, this is, and the other problem is, yeah, even though I'm an engineer, I don't do plumbing every day. So when one plumber comes in and says that this is how it's done, I don't have the expertise to say, no, you're wrong, this is the code or whatever. But he does know the code. And so he said, this is not right. And he was able to convince the contractor to pay for it because it was done incorrectly. And it was really good that he had installed it, so he could challenge the contractor saying, I installed it, you guys screwed up. The contractor paid to fix it, and that worked out well for him.
That's great. Well, I think once again, the story is you get what you pay for, and if you want professional work done, AAA Master Services is where you're going to find it. Thanks again for your help in getting people to understand better the value of AAA services.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
One call does it all.
What is this thing?
That's a recirculation pump. So again, I didn't know this. When he first did this work, he installed this recirculation pump. It's actually wonderful. Because in the morning, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, I'm going for a shower, especially in winter. I don't have to turn the shower on and run out of it waiting for the hot water to come.
It's like that?
It keeps on circulating it all the time, and he set the whole system up in the house.
Wow.
So that it's almost immediately you start getting hot water, and then of course when the fresh hot water, the really hot water comes. So what it does, it keeps pulsing it and keeps moving the water throughout the house.
That makes the
That's
difference.
why I don't have freezing problems.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get it. 2010.
Yeah.
Christmas.
That's
This
right.
was your Christmas gift.
That was my Christmas gift. I had an old unit. I had a unit which was so old that even I remember I tried to donate it to Salvation Army or somebody. They looked at the date and they said, no, I don't think we'll take
Wow.
that.
Well, this looks like a good unit.
This has worked out very well. This is the unit that serves now the extension. And I have not had any problem during the entire winter. Heat was just fine.
That's great.
Yeah, so I had no problem, and I think overall it's healthy.
Yeah, it's efficient.
It's very efficient. Yeah.
That's great.